So, Sean, I don't really like this question, but what first you drew you to life in the streets? And I know that living on the street is sometimes part of people's addiction. I know there are people that have never lived on the street that have been addicted. But what for you drew you to living on the streets in your addiction?
So man, honestly, it wasn't something I planned on or wanted or just said, ooh, that I want that to happen in my life. I want to be that guy, right? I went through a really bad accident in 2014, and I kind of hit one of those domino effects of bad things happening. I got paralyzed. I, of course, right after becoming paralyzed, I got strung out on heroin that I was using for pain management. Um, but within like a year, I was paralyzed, lost my kids, got strung out on heroin, and ended up in Dallas County Jail uh, on a felony charge, state jail felony charge. And man, everything just seemed to just fall apart. And when I got out of Dallas County, there was no leg to stand on. Right there was no family to call. Right before I got out, my grandmother had died, so my entire family was dealing with that. Um, my dad and my uncles were kind of at war with each other. You know, sibling rivalries after the matriarch, dies or the alpha goes away. All the siblings want to fight for who's the top dog. So I got kind of put to the side. And when I got out of Dallas County, I didn't have nothing, man. Like I had nothing. I was living in a hotel. The hotel threw all my belongings away, along with my driver's license, birth certificate, social security card, all my children's stuff. I mean, it all went into a dumpster. And so when I got out of Dallas County, I literally had nothing. Um, and it became kind of like a panic. You know what I mean? Like, what do I do from here? Where do I go from here? I ain't got no help. I don't. Uh, it's not like people are in the streets screaming, "Oh, we got resources." You know, it's come here for help. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that, right? So I did, I think, pretty much probably what most people do: adapt and survive. You know, and so I that kind of began a very crooked way of life for me. I was very angry at my situation and that domino effect that had happened that year. So it kind of fueled my choices that I had made. You know, I kind of gave up on a normal life, and I mean, I started hitting licks. I started robbing people. You know, all the things that come with it. And to be totally honest, drug dealers are really friendly people for people like that. You know, my plugs were some of my best friends during that time because I would bring them stuff. I'd bring them stuff and I'd bring them money, and so they would hook me up. And then before I knew it, I was selling drugs for them. You know, just yeah, bro, it's a whole different life. It's a whole different life. Right and wrong go all the way out the window. It just you revert back to like a primal instinct, and that primal instinct is to eat or be eaten.
So, with that eat or be eaten mentality, did you ever feel like, um, you commanded respect, or was it mostly a fear driven survival instinct out on the street? Because you mentioned that drug dealers are often really nice people because they get things and they give people things that they want, right? There's that friendly exchange,
Well,
but
so man, I had to learn the ropes, right? I had to learn the ropes, and I say fortunate, right? But I had met some people that had introduced me to just about anybody who was somebody in that area, and those people kind of took me under their wing, right? They kind of saw me as an opportunity to mold me into a somebody as part of their group or whatever. So I took advice on how to live a street life from those people, no matter how it was. and you know, it's a different code.
Well, so with that and combined with the drug use used as escapism, right?
Right.
As a way to escape. Did you ever feel like you needed those people, like you needed the drugs to feel okay or to fill a void? Did you ever feel like those people were really your friends, or were they just acquaintances? Now, looking back, I mean, it's easy to say, kind of.
I
I
mean, looking
think.
back, yeah, it's easy to say. That then, I had some really close connections. Like I could tell you that there's a few of those people in that world that I would not be here today if those people wouldn't have looked out for me, 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, and those were people that I was associated with, right? But I know for fact the neighborhoods that I was running around in and the things I was doing. I mean, I was on an active hit list most of the time. And for the fact that I was able to walk through these neighborhoods, associate with the people that I associated with, and move the way I moved, that a lot of that had nothing to do with the man sitting in the chair. That had to do with people in higher places.
Right. It was the family you belonged to,
Kind of,
kind of like the mob,
kind of like I was about to say
right?
that the mafia. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, so how do you think that impacted certain events in your life? I mean, because if you think about your life in stages, you start out with your own family, come into adolescence, you make friends. Some of them can become like family, and then others become a catalyst to you going down that rabbit hole of stupidity, right? Because that
right,
happens to all of us.
right.
How do you think that group of friends now would view you with the group of friends you have now?
Bro, honestly and truthfully, some of them, I honestly, I think would bite. You know what I'm saying? Would say, okay, he's doing something. Let's ride his way for a little bit.
It's that respect.
You know what I'm saying? And respect goes a long way in the street. But like, I just want to touch real quick. Like, I was homeless by choice for a lot of those years. When I lost my kids, um, a structured building, even hotel rooms, a lot of the time, I would feel absolutely uncomfortable in. I would go rent hotel rooms and never step foot in it. Or go step foot, sit down on the bed for 15, 20 minutes, be like, nope, I can't do this. And I'd have to leave. Because when you get used to that family structure, right? Those you're having your kids around, like that's all I would see in these empty rooms. So I didn't want an apartment. I didn't want a house. You know what I'm saying? And it fueled my addiction. So when I would get in these lonely places, right, I would almost always get blitzed out of my mind to remove those memories. You know, I can honestly say like I repressed a ton of my memories that I wish I could get back, especially with my children, just from the pain it brought me. You know, there was lots of suicide attempts, and I say suicide attempts because like, bro, I overdid it a lot. I mean, there'd be times I would be passing out in full stride
Right.
because I'd been up for a month. You know,
Well,
so
so with the hard life of the streets, because that street life is not easy.
no, no.
Do you think that those lost memories, the time loss, because we've talked about this before. There are things you don't know now as an adult because you lost that time to drugs and
Correct,
addiction.
correct.
How do you deal with that now?
I rely a lot on a support system that I have to kind of help mold that.
A
You
different
know,
a different type of family.
yeah. You know, like my wife is a classic example, right? She's always kind of lived a straight and narrow life, even though she's had her own road to recovery, right? She knows how to move, and I've put myself around some better people. So instead of hanging out with drug dealers, pimps, prostitutes, you know, gang members, things like that. Now I'm hanging out with PhDs and people who own their own businesses and people who are driven in the community. You know what I'm saying? So it's different, and there's still a lot of times where I will show up someplace and feel absolutely out of place. You know, and just kind of have to sit there and just soak it all in because there's still a lot of times where I don't feel like I'm in I feel safer in the streets, honestly, than I do in
That,
some of these important meetings and things that I go to, and
that
I
was
feel completely naked.
that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Is if you feel comfortable in the streets. So, did you ever feel like the streets gave you an illusion of well, power? I mean, you had that. You had respect. But do you think that there is any part of that lifestyle on the street that really was an ultimate lie?
Man, honestly,
Because you were living.
no. I don't feel like it was a lie, and I don't really feel like it was an illusion because I didn't I didn't plan on leaving it, right? Like I said, after my kids got took, like I put my helmet on. I was ready to crash, absolutely. And whether that was somebody killing me, me overdosing on drugs, however it may lay out, I did not plan on getting out of that at all.
So so with that though, is there any part of that lifestyle in the streets that you can't let go of now, or that you miss, or maybe there were those friends on the street that you had that were actually kind to you, actually cared for you.
Yeah,
But is there any part of that lifestyle that you struggle with to let go of?
not so much. I mean, it's a different lifestyle. It's extremely fast paced, right? So, but I don't miss the obsessive tendencies, right? Because like everything became an obsession, whether it was gambling or buying drugs, using drugs, or finding a spot, or you know what I'm saying, doing whatever it was I was doing. Those were things I like you would actively obsess about while on drugs. So now life's a lot slower, and I have a hard time dealing sometimes with how slow it is because I'm just used to quick on my feet responses and firing off the hip. Now I have to think more, plan more, kind of be patient a lot more, which is cool. I mean, I'm cool with it. I like it. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely getting fatter. So, chilling and be still and is doing some work.
So if there was somebody on the street right now or thinking about going running away to the streets for comfort, whether it be the comfort of drugs, companionship, or whatever, what would you tell them?
Man, get ready for a hard life. Hard, hard life. It's one of those, like I say, where like right and wrong goes out the window, law goes out the window. I mean, everything that you were, all these morals and stuff that you were born with that your parents try to instill in you, it 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 leaves like that. To
So
to have a conscience in the street is to get killed, right? So you make very unconscious decisions. And I guess it kind of falls on that. It's better easier for me to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission, right? Because like no matter what, I'm actively going to do what I'm going to do to have to survive.
right. Well, and you made a very poignant point that this life not on the streets is slower paced. It requires patience. It's hard as well.
Right, right.
So we have to do what? We have to choose our hard, right?
Yeah, man, and you have to just kind of you have to make a commitment, right? So even in my boredom can't be my excuse to
Right.
go find excitement. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the things I deal with. Me and my wife, we have one car. She works, I work, and so on days she takes the car to work, I sit at home and drive myself crazy. And it's cool because like I'm recognizing things now, so now I can dive off in a book or you know do simple things like give my dogs a bath, clean my house, go for a walk, and I really do a lot of reflecting on my life, and that's one of the gifts that recovery is giving me. Right, it's giving me that reflective mindset to where I can go back through my 25 years of drug addiction and start working those things out, and seeing what it really was during those times, what pushed me in certain directions, but ultimately, man, yeah, streets are hard, bro. Streets are hard. You're gonna do a lot of things you don't want to do.
I think we could go very, very deep on that topic alone
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah.
because I don't think people understand that even not on the streets, things are hard.
Yeah.
I think we see a lot of non-player characters walking around stuck in their daily routine that aren't addicted to drugs, but they're addicted to a million other things. So if you had to inspire someone that's 18 years old, 17 years old, that you know is right on the precipice of making those bad choices to either go to the streets or start living a life that's not conducive to their actual purpose, what would you really tell them?
I would tell him I'd be real with him. I'd be 100% real with him about everything that he's about to face or she's about to face, you know, and I would do just about everything. I mean, it's what I do today anyway, you know, is I try to take people under my wing, right? Not only am I going to sit there and tell you about the hard road that you're going down, but, you know, take it from 25 years of experience and how I got out of it, how to avoid all that, right? So, you know, today I preach big time about higher education. And I think that's one thing in recovery settings that we don't preach enough about, right? We typically just like get out of treatment, go get a job wherever you want to get a job. Go get a job, quick, hurry, get a job. And I think that does more damage to us than it does good, right? Because how am I supposed to overcome all my failings or whatever if I just go get some trash job somewhere and live a trash life after that? That to me, that's not a sense of overcoming.
Well,
That's a sense of submission.
I think a lot of people don't realize that they fall into that slave mentality. They don't they think that, oh, I got a great job, or
Yeah,
and there's people that have crappy jobs at McDonald's that are the happiest people I've met, and people that are work at Fortune 50 companies. I mean, we're talking major companies that have the most miserable lives, and they're the most miserable people. What do you think is missing in the lives of people that don't know how hard the streets are from their ignorance or just turning a blind eye to it, or the world of recovery? I know this is a very long, lengthy question, so I'll summarize it again. The non player characters that look down on drug addicts who think they got their life together but really don't. What do you want to tell them?
what do I want to tell her or should I tell? No, man. If I was gonna say anything, bro, don't judge. Don't judge because thing about it is like, man, the streets, homelessness, addiction, those things happen when logic fails. So whereas we in society we want to look at things very logically and we think that we have this easy answer to everything, right? Like my life in the streets was when all my logic failed. When I had no more answers, I didn't know what to do, and you just hit that button. It's the big red button that says, you know,
You said something very important there. It's when your logic failed.
yeah,
Do you think maybe that it really is ultimately we lose a sense of purpose in ourselves?
absolutely,
We stop being that child with a mind that wants to learn and grow and engage.
absolutely,
Um, and part of that is broken from us.
yeah.
Like
And it's like
like
one of the hardest things to get back, man. Like you know, that's one of the things I see struggling when I'm working with people is that purpose is they feel lost. They don't, kind of like me, you know what I'm saying? You spend so much time out there that when you step into a normal life, you know, we and we do this in America, right? We're very grandiose with everything. Extremely
it's a
grandiose.
great use of that word because you're absolutely right.
We are grandiose about everything. We have super high expectations, you know, even for the flag, right? Even for the flag that is over our country, we tell people, bring us your hungry, bring us your sick, bring us your poor. You know,
You're cold, you're huddled masses. That's actually the Statue of Liberty, but yeah,
you know what I'm talking
I
about,
do.
though.
I do.
You know what I mean? And so we put these great expectations, but we as a country fail in those expectations. We're so culturally multifaceted, right? That we can't get along. We don't know how to get along.
So I would disagree with you on that, but that leads me to my next question, and that's a whole nother topic we'll have on another show.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel like culture, and I took out the word street because this is a culture thing. You brought it up. Do you feel like the culture glamorizes drugs, chaos, or there's an or here, not a but, an or. Do you think the American dream to some people glamorizes these high expectations that we can't meet?
I would have to say that
That's a deep question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
no, I think the second part glamorizes it more than the first part, right? So people who are typically doing this drug scene stuff is because they don't have basic skills. They or have been through something very extreme that's pushed them over the edge, right? So whereas we tend to think it is glamour because of the rappers and the shiny gold teeth and the watches and the rings, and we say, ooh, they're glorifying gangster life. No, and I would have to honestly disagree with that because, like, bro, I was a white boy in the hood for a lot of years, and I was one of the only white boys in the hood for a lot of years. And I got my respect being a honky, being a Yankee, being an Uncle Tom, being called all them things. You know what I mean? And so it's not what they say it is. It's just that cultural difference that divides us. I've had people in recovery literally come up to me, like especially like some directors from some few different places. They'll be like, "Bro, what are you wearing?" Because I'll have my do rag on and I got my jewelry on, and they're like, "You're supposed to be a professional," and I'm like, "I am a professional." You know?
Don't you just love it when you're being you,
Yeah,
your authentic self, and people
it's
people want to judge you and label you because you're your authentic self?
and authenticity is important. That's why I don't give it up. That's why I won't give it up. I'm gonna be me all day, every day.
Well, you still wear that hat, and I tell you not to wear it on
Yes, that's
camera.
why I still wear my
Yeah.
hat. Better days rain, baby. Get you one.
Yeah, get you one. Go to the website and pick one up.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I think the drugs and stuff isn't so much glamored, especially, people who are seasoned in the game. Like, it's just a part of life. But again, American culture, everybody has that white picket fence, 2-story house dream, and it's just not reality for a lot of people.
What I think is funny is not everybody does, right?
I know.
And but we again, it's perception versus reality.
Right. Right.
But ultimately, I still think it boils down to one or two, a handful of things when you're in recovery. And I say this from a recovering asshole perspective, right?
Yeah.
Once you figure out it's not about you, but it is about you, like you have to be the best you possible, that's when it changes. If
Man, I realized something, I guess about a year ago, was when a lot of people started getting behind me. I would go to meetings and I would speak at these meetings, and a lot of people would grab onto it, pull me to the side, ask me questions, and I kind of fell into this mentor role without even trying to, really, honestly. It was just the way I approached it, the way I spoke, you know what I mean? Because, like, let's be real, we're not reinventing the wheel, right? These are things that have been talked about for hundreds of years. It's just getting your message across to people, right? Um, I'm able to get my message across to people. I'm very raw. I'm very real with it, no matter where people are from. You know what I'm saying? So that cultural divide that is in a lot of programs, in a lot of societies, I'm able to weave through it pretty easily. And I mean, I get people from all kinds of different religions, all kinds of different backgrounds, ethnicities, and we sit there and we have great conversations. Why? Because we learn to appreciate each other. So, what I guess you're asking my questions is, it's acceptance. We do where we go where we are socially accepted, right? So I make myself to where I can accept people for who they are, whether I agree with them, like them, dislike them, whatever, right? I'm still going to have a sit down, have a conversation with you and try to build you up, regardless of who you are. And I honestly feel like probably about 75% of the world is not going to do that.
I would say 90% of the world.
Okay. I
So
was trying to,
yeah, no. From a
sugarcoat that.
statistics standpoint, and I believe you're taking statistics. Or no, wait, that's not you. It's one of our other friends is taking a stats class, right? Ultimately, 1% of the people do the work. 10% of the people take the credit.
Yeah.
90% of the people don't have a clue. They just go about their daily lives trapped in that cycle, not ever wanting to be better, not ever wanting to be more than what they are today. They may have that drive or they may have the desire, but not the drive, not the discipline. So I think ultimately, to follow up to your statement, it's discipline, self-respect, and self-love. You have to love yourself, and then you have to love others. Like you summarize this great every time you say it. I'm just reaffirming what you say.
You got to pour into people, man. Like when I started seeing those people looking up to me when I was talking, something clicked on me because these were people who came in months after me, right? And once they heard me speak, they started working their programs. Like these were people who were falling asleep in the back of the class or show up to get their paper signed or whatever, right? But then I started talking with them, and the next thing you know, these guys are out there doing stuff, you know? And so what I realized is by my own self-improvement, right, my walk, my day-to-day grind inspires those behind me.
You become undeniable, Shawn.
Correct. And that's something a coach told me.
I wonder who that coach was. I learned it from Andy Frisella. I'm just saying. No, I think that is another thing you need to be commended for.
Yeah,
bro.
You
and I are two of the most stubborn people in this room, next to your wife.
Yeah, probably.
And I say that with love, Sammy. Don't hit me. There's no quit.
Can't be.
Can't.
Because sometimes you lose focus.
That's
you know
different.
What I mean?
But quitting is just giving up. It's having those roadblocks, those failures, crap not working out. You know, when you're trying to pull something together and it just doesn't work out. You know, pitfalls are test days, is what Andy Frisella would say.
You know,
I kind of agree with that.
We
all suffer
pitfalls or test
days.
I would like to say one thing though. Like, when I came into recovery, I was very grateful for all the people who took my mess ups, right? Took my slips, took my relapses, and didn't jam me up for it. What I mean by that is like, didn't go turn me into the police and didn't make my life harder. You know what I mean?
Or just flat out looked at you and said, none of that freaking matters. Let's go.
Like the people that I had when I got into recovery, they said, okay, like honestly, I went into treatment. I relapsed twice in treatment. And dude looked at me and says, okay, I'm going to put you on a 30-day restriction. Stop doing drugs. And I'm going to work with you. Right? So 30-day restriction, I was in his office every single day. Every single day, we were having good, healthy conversations. Right? And that's why I look up to him. And he's still one of my mentors till this day. Like, because he didn't, he could have very easily get out, back on the street, ran me right back through the mud, and I probably would have never went back into recovery after that. You know what I mean? Because I think it hits a point to where we expect perfection. So when people come in, we expect them to be perfect and not slip, knowing they're going to slip, right? And if I'm just going to put somebody out on the street every time they fall, or bring a hardship on somebody every time they mess up, right? Then I'm hindering the recovery process. I'm stretching that out, right? It's a misuse of accountability that says I got to make you feel some pain first, and then you can come back and try again. I got to hurt you first. These people in my recovery didn't do that. They didn't try to hurt me. They actively like, okay, what were you feeling in this moment? Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, what were the circumstances around it? They made me really look at it from
what triggered you to go back to old behaviors.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like what did it? And we worked through that. And so that's why I think that unconditional love concept took play there, right? Because typically you turn your back, right? And I'm not gonna, I'm either A, not coming back, and I think the reason people don't come back is because they feel that betrayal. Somebody says, I'm gonna help you, but then when I mess up, I'm gonna put you right back where I found you. And so that help just turned to betrayal.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
The world was built on good intentions, right?
Yeah. Well, good intentions are not accountability, and accountability has to be wanted, and accountability has to be delivered in the right way.
Right.
And that is doing that in love, like you
Yeah.
said.
So I was very grateful for that. Like the people that molded my recovery, man, I really respect. I still talk to all of them to this day. I still stay connected to all of them to this day, and they're all really good friends of mine. You know.
You just mentioned gratitude.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you practice gratitude every day?
It's really easy for me. When I tell you, like, 200-300 people collaborated together unknowingly. Like, I'm talking 200-300 of the most random people you have ever seen in the world who have no idea who each other are, collaborated to fix a broken person who was absolutely broken, right? For no benefit of themselves to just do the right thing and help build somebody up, right? I latched onto that very quickly, right? And even my wife, she was a great example of that, you know, latched onto that very quickly. So gratitude to me comes easy because, like, bro, I feel like I'm on borrowed time. Truth be told, like, if it wasn't for all those people, I would not be sitting here.
The sad thing is we're all on borrowed time,
Right.
right? But gratitude, to me, gratitude, I see how you show gratitude by going back and giving back.
Oh yeah.
And I know it's not all you make it sound like it's real easy for you, but I've seen you struggle over like things you're gonna teach. You're like, man, I could just tell you're kind of hesitant, and you'll change your mind or you'll
I've gotten
approach
more
it differently.
comfortable about it. You know,
But
I think the hardest part for me as far as being of service is, of course, right, as I've said, you know what I'm saying? I don't get paid for a lot of the things I do, right? And having not getting paid not affect the level of service that I am,
right.
right? Because this is something that's a constant. You got to have money to survive, right? And I work my hardest to be of maximum service, whether I'm getting paid or it's free, right? So, but when that stress of low income starts coming in and I'm putting out tons of service, you know what I'm saying? It gets conflicting real quick. And so that's just one of the things I have to concentrate really hard on is to stay of maximum service no matter what my revenue stream is.
Right. Well, and with that, people can support you in all that you do by going to your website.
Yeah, absolutely.
BetterDaysRain.com. They can buy your merchandise. They can share that website.
Absolutely.
Share that merchandise with other people. They make great Christmas gifts. And yes, that's an ad that I'm throwing on here because
yeah, you know, so it got put to my attention last Thursday that I'm a great speaker, but I'm not a good businessman.
Okay, you're sitting in a studio that I'm not apparently not a great businessman either because I'm doing this for free.
Right.
But I would do this for free for you for as many as these as you need because your service is part of my mission. That's part of my purpose is to help serve you.
And that's one of the things I thought about the other day. So there's a few people who are in me and my wife's life that are pouring into us a lot, right? So that way we can do this. And I was sitting there thinking about one person in particular, you know what I'm saying? My wife's cousin, and she pours into us tremendously. And I'm so grateful for it. And from her action of helping us, I'm able to go be of service to literally hundreds of people every week. And I don't know if she knows that, but if you're watching, man, it has a that's another thing of gratitude, right? Because she helps me to where I can pour into all these people.
Well, but you and Sammy especially recognize that she is a blessing.
Oh man,
She shows Sammy and you, but you know, she loves Sammy unconditionally.
yeah,
Her actions speak to the people that don't know her. to people like
Absolutely.
me. I'm just
Absolutely.
sitting here and I see how much she pours into you guys, and why wouldn't we want to pour into you?
Yeah.
You know, what you're building and what you're doing here to share a different angle of recovery for people is important. We're about to level up the
Oh
recovery
yeah.
game because
I think so.
not just from your efforts but other people's efforts, and I don't think they realize it, and they may never know, and that's a great thing, and the great one of the great mysteries of life, right, is we never know how we impact people with our kindness and our generosity and our unconditional love.
Yeah. I mean, I can sit there and tell you pain showed me a lot, right? It taught me how to be bitter. It taught me how to hate. It taught me how to become greedy. And I mean, I was a really horrible person, and that's all what pain taught me. And I didn't understand recovery until people started pouring a lot of love into me. And we're not talking about like parents' children, right? Because that's kind of like one of those expected things. Parents pour into their children. So, you know what I mean? That's one of those things that's always going to be there. But when random people start pouring into people, that's different. It hits different.
It's a different kind of fire.
Yeah, bro. Like it inspired me to want to do the same. And that's why ultimately that's why I do what I do today, because those people put that effort into me, and now I feel like that's my calling to do the same for other people. And it's a really beautiful thing to be a part of.